Hey friends, you are crafting with Kim Byers at the Celebration Shop, and today we are making a Believes sign. So it's going to be personalized with my family name, a little Santa, and Believes. It's going to be darling. So if you have seen people putting these out in front of their houses or like on their front porch, it's like a sled. This is a miniature version of that I'm going to put on our Christmas wreath. So it's really, really easy and cute. It is so cute. I'm going to tell you where to get everything. And if you haven't already, guys, hit that subscribe button and join me for all 12 days of Cricut Christmas. And make sure that if you like what we're doing here today, that you give me a thumbs up. And I would love for you to hop over to Cricut Design Space with me now, and I'll show you how to put it all together and make the plan of how everything goes and what all we're using, and then we'll go over to the craft table and put it all together. Okay, let's get going. Okay, so here we are in Cricut Design Space. The first thing you want to do is go ahead and open a new blank canvas. So if you're on the home page, you'll select a little square that says New. If you're already working in Cricut Design Space, over here in the left-hand side is the New button. So you want a blank, clean canvas. And so what we're going to be doing is putting lettering on vinyl lettering on a sled. And so just to make sure that I have all the proportions right before I cut this out, what I love to do is start out by going into shapes and selecting something similar to what I'm working with. In this case, it's a square. And so then my sled is roughly 6 inches by 10 inches. So what I'll do is go up into More and unlock, and then I will make this 6 inches by 10 inches. So this is basically going to be my canvas. Now we're not going to cut this out, but this is what I'm going to overlay everything onto so that I can make sure it's going to fit. And if you notice already, the one that I've already mocked up, this area up here, I left it blank because I want to put greenery and ribbon up above. And so I want it to be blank so that it doesn't, lay over the top of my lettering. Okay. So now that we have this, what I want to do is first go in and look for things that are already in images that I can use. And then if there's not things in images, I would go ahead and use font or in the text to create my own lettering. So I've done a bit of both. So if we go into images and we type in We Believe. And so when I did that, it brought up This House Believes. And so of course that's more than I want it to be, but if you click on that and bring that in, let's just move all this over so you can see what I'm doing here. So now that I have this, I really just want the word believes. But if you click on this and then you go into the layers panel, you can turn off the stars and things around it. And then if you click on it, the contour tool opens up. Now the reason it didn't open up to begin with was because it was 2 cuts. So if you ever want to use the contour tool and it's not showing for you, it might very well be that you're actually clicked on more than 1 cut. And the contour tool only works with 1 cut at a time. Okay, so now we can go into contour, and then we just want to eliminate everything that is not the word believes. So you can just click on things. We want to take out house and just click on all of those elements. You could also do this in the side panel. Okay, so now we have the word believes, singular by itself. And so we'll overlay that onto our sled. Okay, so the next thing that I wanted to do was go in and say, I would really like to have a Santa. And instead of just typing in Santa, I would type in Santa and reindeer, because it's going to eliminate all of those like Santa faces and things like that, or at least most of them. Okay, so it brings up several different ones, and I love these, but for what we're doing, the size of it, it's just too small. If it was something larger, I would use one of these. But because this is a small area, I'm going to use this more simplistic Santa. Okay, so then we'll bring that down and sort of put it roughly where we think it's going to be. Okay, so now we're going to look at personalizing it with our family name. So I'm going to not find that in images, of course, so I'm going to go into text, and then I'm just going to type in the And I'll start there to see what kind of font that I want to use. Now when you go up into your fonts, you can choose all, which is going to pull fonts from your computer, or you can go with system, which is your computer only, or Cricut, which is only going to show Cricut fonts. I ended up using a font that's in my system that's only on my computer, but you can find similar ones in Cricut Design Space. So I'm going to use this one called Cyclone. And I really like it because it is like an outlined font. So if you can see here, it's going to show the white with the black from the actual sled showing through. And so we'll put on the Buyers family. And then the next thing that you want to do is you want to go in and maybe select something that would go beside the word the, just to dress it up a little bit. I chose these ribbons, but you could use snowflakes or snowmen, or just anything like that, holly, anything like that that you think would work really well with your design. Now what I want to tell you is one of the reasons I added these ribbons as well as just adding elements, I wanted an opportunity to use a patterned vinyl that I have. So I'm going to be using white because it's a black base for the sled. I'm going to be using white for all of the lettering, but for the Santa and the ribbons, I'm actually going to use a patterned vinyl. And so I've colored them a slightly different color. So let's go over, I'm just going to eliminate these things. And so now let's go over into Color Sync, and we'll see that there are 3 different colors. So I have a white, which is all of the lettering, and then I just colored it a slight gray color so that it's different, so it'll show up on a different mat. And then of course this is the background or the template that I'm using for the sled. Okay, so when we go back into layers, we want to scroll down and make sure that we turn off that sled once we're comfortable with everything. And the next thing that we want to do is choose our machine. So you could use the Maker for this, the Explorer, and the Joy. These items, if you click on this one, it's 5 by 2.5. That will easily cut long ways on the Joy, and so will these other items. But for today, I'm going to use the Maker. So I already have my Maker selected, and now we can select Make It. Okay, so I did this on purpose because I wanted to show you how that then comes into the mat. So all these elements are separate. Now if you're using the Joy, this is probably the way you're going to want to do it, because you're going to want to hand place these and you don't have a lot of space on your mat to keep things together. But if you are not using the Joy and you don't feel like worrying with spacing and measuring, what you would want to do is go in and grab the and Buyers family, and then you could go down and attach them. So now that they're attached and you select Make It, so you see how they are there together. Now you are going to lose a little bit of material in between, but if you're good with that and it's worth more to you not to have to measure everything, then this is the way to go. Okay, so basically 2 3/4 of a strip of white vinyl. And then if you go, and we're not going to mirror it because this is vinyl, not iron-on. And if you go down to the next, so then we have these ribbon elements, and we can actually move those over. So if you click on these and shift them over, you're kind of saving a lot of material there, right? So now it's just roughly just shy of 6 inches by just shy of 3 inches. If you guys craft with me ever, you know that I love to save material. So, okay, now that we've got those two together, and again, no mirroring, we're ready to continue. And this is where it makes sure that your machine is connected, and then you can set your base materials. So we are using premium vinyl, but if you wanted to choose something else, then you can just go up into Browse All Materials and select from that massive drop down. Okay, so premium vinyl, and now we're ready to hop over to the craft table and cut everything out. Okay, so here we are on the craft table, and these are the materials I'm going to be using today. So this is the sweet little sled that I found in the dollar spot at Target. So I paid $3 for this. You can find a lot of really great blanks there. And then I have some garland material. I got this actually at the Dollar Tree. And then I have some ribbons, I have my scissors, I have my weeding tools, I have some more ribbon. And then on this side, I have transfer tape. Now, not all transfer tape is created equal. So here's the key. If you are using a glitter vinyl, you have to use strong grip transfer tape. It simply will not pick up with the regular transfer tape. But if you're using an everyday, a regular vinyl like the patterned or the plain, you need to use a regular transfer tape because the strong grip won't let it go. And then the other thing that we're going to be using today is just a clear acrylic ruler. I just like to use them for pretty much every project to make sure everything's centered and working right. Okay, so let's move everything out of the way and put our first piece of vinyl on our mat. So I've decided that I want to use glitter for my Santa. I'm going to use the white vinyl for a lot of my lettering. And then I'm going to use this really pretty patterned vinyl for the ribbons. So I've changed things up a little bit. We're going to go ahead and cut out the everyday and then we'll move on and cut out this small piece. I may even be able to use a remnant for that, and then we'll cut out our Santa. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the white. And I'm going to use my paper trimmer. If you've ever watched any of my videos, I use this a lot for my vinyl and my iron-on because I like to keep everything straight, and just it's easier to make sure that I save as much material as possible and that kind of thing. So I will use this to cut out roughly 2 3/4 inch by 12 for my white. Okay, so I need roughly 2 3/4, actually by 11. And if you wanted to save that little edge, you could move this. This is one of the things I love about this ruler. Move it up and insert it there, and then only cut out and save this piece. And you know what? Let's just do that because candidly, you never know what you're going to use these little pieces for. And then we'll just take a pair of scissors and cut off that one little edge. And then we'll leave that on the roll. And that's another reason that I use my straight edge paper trimmer, is because then I can leave excess pieces, little tiny pieces on the roll and not have a lot of, stuff hanging around. And if you do have small pieces like that, I personally put them in a Ziploc bag and will just save them for the next project. But then because this is vinyl, we're going to put it face up. Now if it was iron-on, we would put it face down. Vinyl, we're gonna put face up. Work at the corner, and then I would take my scraping tool, especially with vinyl. Iron-on doesn't do it as badly, but vinyl will get bubbles in it, and so just make sure you smooth that all the way out. Okay, and now we're ready to go for a cut. Okay, so we're going to load our first mat, and it's blinking, telling us that it's ready. Put it under the guides, load. And then once it loads, it will flash, letting you know it's ready to cut. Okay, so we're done with our first cut. Now to get your material off the mat, my best suggestion for you is to bend the mat and not the material. So the mat can take it, but you don't want to mess up that beautiful cut you just made. So see, it just pops right off. And then you can take your weeding tools and pull out all of the excess. And so we'll do that in a minute, but I want to go ahead and cut out all of the materials first. So the next thing we're going to cut out is the red and white, or excuse me, the red and black, and then we will cut out the glitter. And just remember when you get to the glitter to change it in the system. So you want to make sure that you're telling your machine that you are cutting glitter and not every day. Okay, so here are all 3 of our cuts. And the next thing that we need to do is just weed out all of the excess of the design. So literally just using your weeding tool, you're just pulling away any negative space from all 3 designs. And our ribbon, you just have to be careful, pulling at an angle. And if ever something wants to pop up, just use the tip of that to hold it down, and then you can continue to weed, and then you can pull away. Okay, and so then we'll do that to all 3 of these, and the glitter is really no different than the others. It's not harder to weed, but I would recommend like going in and getting out the small parts within the sleigh. And then once all of these are weeded out, I will show you how to use transfer tape and put these onto our sled. Now everything is weeded out, and we are going to start with our glitter, which means we need to use our strong grip transfer tape. And so what I would like to do is start at the bottom and work our way up, because remember, we're going to have greenery at the top. And so this way I can make sure that our elements are going to fit, and then we'll have more excess space up top if we need it. So I'm just going to cut out a piece of my transfer tape that is going to be roughly the size of my Santa. And so you can just overlay it on top of that to make sure that you get a piece that's big enough, and then it's got these nice grids on it. And this transfer tape works exactly the same way as all the other transfer tape if you've used it before. Okay, put that out of the way. And so basically you just need to peel from the corner and then apply it to your glitter. Okay, so you just peel up a little bit. Don't take it all the way off of the adhesive backing, and place it on top of your design. And it's got these great grids on it if you need to use those. And once you've gotten a little area on there, what I would suggest is taking your scraping tool and then using that to sort of apply. So pulling at the back, but using it to apply. That way you don't get any bubbles. So just go slow. Whoop, and it got off a little bit, but that's okay. And oh, actually I cut it just a little bit short, but it's gonna be okay because we're gonna be able to pull everything up with this. So then you can take that and just make sure there's no bubbles. And then what you wanna do is start back at that corner and pull it away. Okay, so now that I have that up on the transfer tape, we just want to apply it to our design. And I kind of want my reindeer going up. Okay. So just start at one corner and go slowly. You can use your fingers. See if it's gonna pull off. Starting at a corner and pulling edge to edge. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to our regular vinyl, and we're just going to use a regular transfer tape. Again, starting at the edge, and then you can use your scraping tool. And I am going to use this surface just so that my transfer tape doesn't stick to my table. And you just kind of pull away and make sure that you don't get any bubbles. And so once you've done that, then all you need to do is peel from the corner, and you may have to help it get up a little bit. And you can use your ruler, or you can kind of eyeball it. Just make sure that you get only one section down and then kind of work it into place. You can use your finger to work it into place. There we go. And then you can even use your scraping tool just to make sure you don't have any bubbles. And then once you've done that, you just want to peel at an angle. Okay, so now we're gonna repeat that process with the buyer's family, so with the name. And so you can use the grids if that helps you kind of to keep everything straight. Just kind of line it up underneath the word "the," and then the others should sort of fall into place. You can use your finger to sort of put it down, and then just kind of pull that up. And now that you can use your scraping tool if you're worried about bubbles and things inside of the lettering. And then just as before, you'll just pull it away and then we'll place it. Okay, and if you want to, if you feel like there's too much of a gap here between your name, you know, if there's ever too much of a gap in things that you're working with, you can always cut them apart. But I do love having them together just for simplicity. Okay, and so then we're going to sort of eyeball and make sure that it is where it should be and it's straight. Put down one corner and then work your way over. Okay, and now the only thing that we need to put down are the ribbons, and we'll just cut those apart and do the same process and put them on either side. Okay, so last but not least, what we want to do is put some greenery on the top of our sled and maybe add some ribbon. I am thinking seriously about putting this onto a wreath, and so I probably won't put the ribbon on this. I'm most likely going to put the ribbon on the wreath, although I may use like some small ribbon near the top. But you can use, these are floral cutters, and just cut away the stems of the items that we got at the Dollar Tree. Okay, so my hot glue gun is warmed up, so now what we want to do is we want to put some glue right here in the center of the wood. And then I want to be able to adhere each of these, and I want them to be about the same distance down on either side. Okay, so now we can put a little bit more glue there and add on our pine cones. I am loving how this is turning out, guys. This is going to be so, so cute. And what I would recommend is, like, once you kind of put down the pine cones, add more glue on top of it. And then the glue will kind of seep down and it'll attach to the other glue. And don't really worry about it being a glob of glue. It's not that big a deal because we are going to hide that with ribbons. Now, if this ends up going on a wreath, that is wonderful, but if you wanted to just put it, you know, under your tree or something for home decor or by your fireplace, that would work beautifully too. Okay, and so I was playing around with ribbons, but I thought, you know, this is actually just ribbon, like gift ribbon, but it's too big to use the whole thing. But sort of just taking it apart and then adhering that to that piece of hot glue. And how pretty is that? It kind of makes me think of bells. And then you may have to just do a little bit of dot of hot glue there as well. But I'm serious, I am in love with how this all turned out. So, so sweet. Okay, and then once it dries, you can always pull away any excess that might have been left from the hot glue, and voila, personalized sled. Okay, so what did you think? Was that fun? It was really easy, and don't forget, I got the sled in the $3, what was the dollar section at Target, but they have blanks. A lot of times they have really fun, easy things to use for blanks. So if you can't find the sled, you can probably find, a lot of times they'll have blank signs and all kinds of things there. So make sure you pop over, and if not, I have found a ton of really cool stuff at Hobby Lobby. They tend to have a lot of different crafting blanks, and even more so than I have seen at other craft stores. So make sure you hop out and see what you can get. And I just want you guys to enjoy crafting, have fun this holiday season, use your machine. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. I will do my very best to help you. And don't forget, down below I also have links to all the materials and things that we use here today, so that you can find them and recreate this project if you want to. Okay guys, so if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and join me every week, and especially for all the 12 days of Cricut Christmas. See you next time.